All right, guys. So we're back again and way more acquainted than the first time, which we had chatted a few times in the chat for the Breene Street team, but we hadn't really like chatted like the five of us, and it's been like nonstop ever since. So I feel like I know you guys all so much better. And besides books, like I think we're getting to know each other more on personal levels. So, and everyone's little quirks. So, I think this will be a much more interesting episode. So, for those listening in, this is going to be part one. We're going to do a book review of the book A Cage of Kingdoms, which is the second in the duology of A Cage of Crimsons, which is a part of the Deliciously Dark Fairy Tale series. So, we're going to kind of give our thoughts, our reviews, and then we will go into part two, which you will see next week. And that's going to go in-depth discussion, giving all spoilers. So, yeah. So, just kind of going down the list. What did you guys think of the book?
Loved it.
It's so much fun.
I'm so happy there is a primal Papa at Weston. Papa, not Papa. Good Lord. That ruined it for me. Oh, but I have needed a primal daddy, and I think we got one.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to find the picture for those who don't know what Daddy Weston looks like. I call him Daddy Alpha.
Daddy.
I got it. It's right here. All right. So here's Daddy Alpha Weston with his wolves for those who want to see. Look at that stare. Look at them eyes.
I don't normally go for the blondes, but
Same. And there's this saying for like around a lot of author spaces that like if you have a blonde male main character that you're basically committing career suicide. I think that in this case, you know what? He's doing it for me.
Yeah, I'm not a blonde. My husband has brown hair. Actually, no, his hair is pretty much gray. He's very salt and pepper at this point. Welcome to having a 3-year-old.
I think the great thing about Weston is, so he's not a shadow daddy. He's not the dark villain.
No.
He is a good guy. But oh damn, is he a good guy?
Yeah. He's, like I said, I normally don't go for blondes. Like the artwork on that is just absolutely stunning.
Oh yeah.
I'm all about Daddy Weston here.
If you would put Weston and my husband up to each other, they wouldn't even look the same. But I'm here for Weston. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, you guys have seen pictures of my husband. You guys have seen what he looks like. Salt, pepper, dark hair, darker eyes, like more hazel, light brown eyes. I mean, Weston, blonde hair, blue eyes is just has never historically been my type. It's dark hair with like green eyes is like my jam, right? So, which is more close to my husband. So, but I absolutely loved his character in this book. I liked his growth. I liked getting to know him a little bit more, or actually, I should say a lot more. But I absolutely loved the humor in it. I loved how it was a different direction from the first book, right? The first book was a lot more intense. I feel like it was a lot more serious. And I felt like this one was a little bit more lighthearted. Like getting to know the characters, watching them grow and develop these bonds. This book, I'll be honest, I was not expecting anything to happen for the most part. I was expecting it to go down a direction with like big battle between like Granny and all them and all this, but it was more focused on Ariella and Weston, which is honestly was a breath of fresh air because I was not expecting it, so I was pleasantly surprised.
Me too. Yeah. What Breene does really well is character development. She's really good at world building as well, but I agree with you that this book did not go where I anticipated it going, but it was a pleasant surprise for sure.
Yeah, we all had we thought like this book would have been like the last book in Ruin of Roses, like big battles, like lots of fighting and this and that. And I mean, there's stuff in there, but that's not the main theme of the actual like book. Which
it's more their story.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Instead of everything else and just a little bit of their story.
Yeah. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great.
Me too.
It took forever to read it though, because I've been so busy. But I did finally finish it. I did. I actually finished the last 2 chapters this morning. It took so long.
So this is fresh on your mind.
It is. It's very fresh, which is why we're gonna go in the part when we go into part 2. We're gonna go into details because I remember pretty much everything. I highlighted a lot of stuff in the book. Just so great. So for me, this was a 5-star. I would definitely read it again. I know I gave A Cage of Crimson's 4 stars because it kind of left me wanting like certain things and to know certain things, and I feel like Breene really delivered, and she wrapped up the story very well, where you don't feel cheated in a sense. You don't feel like, oh, I need to know this. Like, where did they end up? What happened with this? Like, it was a nice little bow on the book, and it's like, end of story. And I don't need to know more. I don't need to know more. So for me, that is a perfect 5-star. When it leaves you feeling satisfied.
Yes.
Exactly.
So what did you guys rate the book?
I rated it a 5. So I'm with you, Renee. Like, me and Renee talked about this, about how I was like, when is this battle going to happen? Like you were talking about, Michelle. It was like, okay. I was like, am I going to be bummed out at the end of this? I was like, no, she's never left me bummed. And I was so nervous. And I was like, okay, so sit back. And I looked at it, of course, instead of how other people write books, I was like, okay, this is Breene we're talking about here. And like y'all said, she is into character development. And so I sat back and I was like, okay, quit looking for the action. And I loved it. I loved the growth. I loved, like you said, the humor. I mean, we had all of our characters back that, bring us our humor. And so it was even better. It was literally like a homecoming, like people, keep saying it. It really is, because he's bringing her to his home. Like, this is our people. This is our village. And it was so great because she hadn't had that before. And, I mean, I know they struggled with how things needed to go for her in this whole situation, because it wasn't easy in the beginning. They had no idea what to do. But like you said, it left you be satisfied. I was like, this is perfect. This was just perfect.
Anyone else's thoughts? I know Brianna wants to say something. I see it. I see it in her eyes.
See it? You can see it in my eyes.
Okay.
I love how it's a dichotomy between subverting what I expected, but also meeting my expectations. So I felt like that was an interesting dichotomy. So I got the answers that I wanted. Some of the answers I got a lot quicker than I expected. Like kind of that a lot quicker than I thought. And without going into too much detail, because I know we'll get into more in part 2. But I definitely gave it 5 stars. I gave the first one 5 stars as well. I feel like I give every Breene read 5 stars. It's just, they're always unique. They just don't work. And I still gave this one 5 spice as well, just because of just because of having audiences. There, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, which we will get into that.
Yeah.
We will get into that for sure, 100% in the part 2. So I know Renee is chomping to say something. I can see it in her face.
Oh no, I'm just like happy to be here. I also gave it 5 stars. I agree with Brianna and Jessica. It was definitely one of those situations. It defied my expectations in a lot of ways, but it also, like, again, Breene can do no wrong when it comes to character development. So I think that, the one thing that she does particularly well is make characters who are so realistic that they feel like someone you either know or that you might have been them at some point in time or another. And because of that, I absolutely rated it 5 stars. I've never read a book or a series of books that feel as much like coming home as these books do. So that's where my 5 stars came in. I gave it about 4 in spice because you guys know me. I read Jade West. That's a 5. So I give this one about a 4 on the spicy level.
Sounds good. Alicia, the last woman standing. Come on.
Yeah. I gave it a 5 also. Now, I will say in the beginning, there were many a times where I messaged Renee and was like, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. But as always, I just needed to be patient, and that's not my strong suit. I do love the way that it wrapped up. I think it was perfect. And I already know that there are some situations where I have a completely different opinion than others, so I can't wait to discuss that later. But like all of y'all have said, it felt like coming home. Like, this is one of my favorite found family series, because it's exactly what Aurelia needed. And on top of that, it's just, these characters are so hard. It's so hard not to love them. Like, you absolutely fall in love with them, with their quirks and their silly sayings and all of that. And I'm going to tell you what, I started off highlighting, and of course they were all like funny quotes because of who I am as a person. And then I just got so into it that only half the book's highlighted. I straight up smooth forgot. So I'm like, I'm going back and I'm all, well, we're just going to do what it is. So we're just going to handle it what it is. Cause I'll just do the same thing over again, get so into it that I'm like eating the words instead of slowing down and highlighting or making notes.
I did highlight quite a bit. I highlighted more than I normally do. So there were so many funny quotes that I was literally cackling yesterday. My husband's always so funny. Like, you didn't get it. I'm like, you just wouldn't understand. And he's like, oh, you're reading. I'm like, yeah. So
I have my favorite one, and I am super excited to see if y'all like that one, which I know we'll talk about that later. But it completely caught me off guard, and I thought it was hilarious, and I'm ready to know if any of y'all highlighted it as well.
All right, yeah, we will definitely do that, because once we take a break and we go into episode 2, I will go grab my Kindle, which is downstairs, and from there, we'll go over the quotes, because some of them were so funny. Like, I'll just do a little spoiler regarding the asshole.
The whole time.
Amar, I don't know how you guys say it.
Vamar. That's how I say it, but
It's my favorite character. Like, I can't put him like similar to Tristan in the Midlife series.
Yeah.
Do so much.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love Hadriel, but Vamar, I think he captured my heart. He's so funny, which we'll go into details in part 2, because I don't want to spoil anything, but I absolutely love his character. And his little nicknames he gives people, they're just, yeah. I was just laughing every time he was in a scene. I was like, okay, this is going to be funny.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and she always puts that comedic person in there, and he's comedic without even trying. That's what's great about it. It's like, we all know, like, at least 1% of our life that they're funny even when they're not trying to be funny. And you laugh, like, because they just exude this energy, and I can feel it through the books. So I absolutely love it. It's kind of like Jack from Demigods, right? It like exudes the humor without trying. Absolutely love it. And I can like keep going down the list. You got Liam from Fourth Wing, if you guys have ever read that book series. Like, he exuded humor, him and Rita, right? They had humor without really trying. Like, and KF Breene is just excellent at it because she does it so flawlessly, and it's like without trying. And I feel like sometimes when I read other authors' works, it's like you could tell they're trying too hard, like, to make this person funny, and it doesn't really fit. So
I have a problem reading other people's works and being like, this is so dry. Just because it's very cut and straightforward conversations, where Breene, it's not ever, because there's always some kind of sarcasm and wit to it. And that's my favorite thing, because that's how I speak regularly. So to see book characters speak like that, I'm all...
Well, that, and you could tell, like, Breene's personality, like, shines through. She's funny.
Also, one of the people that's funny without trying.
Oh, yeah. She's hilarious without trying. Absolutely adore her. So I gave it, like I said, a 5-star. I would agree with Renee on the spice level. I would say it 3.5, 4, to be honest. Like 4. And that's because, reading her Ruin of Roses series, like, the sex was not at that level that it is in the first, like, the Ruin of Roses part of Deliciously Dark Fairy Tales. It was still there, but it wasn't as intense as it could have been, which honestly I actually appreciated. Like, because for me, in a Ruin of Roses, it was too overboard. Like, it was just like all the time, and I was like, I want to get to the story, but I want, like, the sex scenes to, like, feel natural. And I felt like in some of a Ruin of Roses series, like in some of the scenes, they just felt like unnatural, like they were just kind of forced. I feel like in these, like, it, with the flow, it made sense, and it was very natural, if that makes sense. So I feel like Breene has really found her footing in that, because I do recall people had asked her for a very, very raunchy smut book, and that's when she did a Ruin of Roses, and I felt like she just kind of went, like, all at once. And I feel like with the Cage of Crimsons and Cage of Kingdoms, she's kind of, like, found her footing, where she's incorporating that raunchy stuff, but it's flowing a lot better, if that makes sense.
I feel like it fits their personalities well.
Mhm.
Like, I will say, in A Ruin of Roses, yes, it's a lot raunchier, but it fits their personalities for it to be like that, if that makes sense. And then in these books, like, it fits their personalities better for them to be building this relationship with sex instead of having sex and then building a relationship.
I think my biggest issue with the Ruin of Roses ones is though, it would be in the middle of an important scene, and it's like the scene is cut for sex, and then it would go back, and I'm like, can we finish up the important scene real quick? Like, can we do this? Like,
not possible.
I'm
like, getting down and dirty.
Like,
hush it, Michelle.
Like, I need deep. I need to know, and then it's all pause, and I'm like,
but all they like, it just shows, like, their love for each other, though, because now they need to go fuck. Like,
well, and I will say that they, the dragons are emotional. That's the whole point, is they are emotional. And so when they have those big bad feelings that they have, whether it be anger or whether it be spiciness, they be doing it when they do it. So
I think it was really intentional in this book, because I think that Aurelia and Weston built that sexual chemistry really early on, and they really had to work to develop that deep emotional connection. And Aurelia had obviously a lot of issues, so did Weston, and so I think it just took them time. And so we did get the spice in chapter 2 of A Cage of Crimson, really quick, really
right off the gate.
Just right. And so it just kind of, obviously,
I think that
you cut out for us, babe.
I muted myself. I heard that happen. Sorry, guys. I muted it, but I had to build that.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that people keep forgetting. Like, Brianna, you brought up something that I want to make a point of. We know our girl has trauma and has, we're seeing it live, but people keep forgetting Weston had trauma. He had things that he needed to work through also. And that is his biggest struggle through this, is his self-worth, because of the trauma and the things that he's gone through in the past. And that is one of the things that I love about this story. Like we talked about, it is really them figuring each other out and their past together. It's beautiful.
I mean, Wes has a lot of sexual trauma in his past. I think that is interesting to have that from a male perspective as well.
Right.
You know, it's not brought in like great detail, but we all know that it's there. Those who read, the Rune series know that it's there, and so I do enjoy that perspective as well. I mean, I think like the Outlander series is another series that does that really well. And so I think that is just another interesting aspect of this series.
I do think it's interesting because a lot of times in books you read about the woman having the sexual trauma and the guy having the emotional and physical trauma. And in these, I feel like it's reversed, right? Like he has the sexual trauma, like he had abuse too, but his trauma was more of like the sexual, physical, and hers was more of the emotional trauma
and mental.
Like, yeah, she would get beat, when she broke rules or whatever. But hers was very emotional. Like Granny was making it to where she doubted everything and that she was too scared to leave. So it is kind of a breath of fresh air to see the roles reversed because especially in shifter romance, it's always the woman who's sexually abused, emotionally abused, and the guy typically never has any type of abuse. He's usually the abuser or he's the second chance mate saving her from the abuser. So it was really nice to read a perspective where it's like he can correlate and with her as far as like the abuse part. Understand like, hey, I know you've been through abuse. I've been through abuse too. It's not the same, but we've both been through, some type of abuse and we can heal one another. And I think that's great. And I do think it's great because no spoiler, we're going to talk about in episode 2. There's other characters that can also relate to Ariella that have gone through some type of abuse. And so I feel like it's a good book to like heal someone who, in real life may be going through stuff, to read it and realize like, hey, there are others out there that may have gone through something similar to me and are a little bit more understanding and I could talk to them. So,
yeah.
So I think it's a good book. I'm definitely going to recommend. I already gave my Goodreads 5-star. I just need to write the review now. I definitely think it's worth getting. I just can't wait till I can actually buy a physical one and add it to my shelf because I did buy on Amazon the Rune of Roses, the books with Catherine signatures. So literally every book I own of hers is signed by her. So I can't wait till I can buy this and then put it right next to there and like complete this set. Yeah. So I'm waiting because I know the ebook is coming on the 12th and I'm like, when can I get normally I get hardbacks, as you guys know. But since all of them are paperbacks of the Ruin series, I'm going to continue. So hopefully I can get my paperback and have it signed by her soon. So that way I can have the whole set complete.
I just love that you're going to have all of them signed by her. I love that. I'm so jealous. I'll get there.
Eventually.
Amazon, you guys.
Girl.
It was like they're on sale.
The car. Do we need to talk about the car again?
I've got all that, and then I do have only one. But it is signed. I only have one physical book of hers that is not signed because I had lent it out to my friend, and it's the first book of the Demigod series. But I have the collector's Arcane Edition, and all of those are signed. So,
man, I want that series so bad.
Jealous.
I got it. Because I had to get that. I had to.
Michelle, is your Ruin of Rose series, is it got foil on it? I've seen someone who had some that it was like it was shiny in some areas and it was so pretty. Yes. See, look at it shine.
Amazon. Yeah, I think it was $55 for all 4.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
I spent $50 on one book the other day. I think I can.
It's on sale. I highly recommend to get it. Let me grab all of these real quick. So basically,
are they through Breene though, or are they through another seller?
I think
it showed Breene. They're through Breene.
Okay.
Yeah,
and here's how they all look when this set is together.
Okay. Awesome.
So there's only a difference. there's only a slight difference between the Ruin and the Cage series. You can definitely tell it's a different maker because if you see there's like glue on the spine of the Ruin series, and then on the Cage of Crimson, there's no glue, like holding the pages.
I see that.
You see? So, and then
I didn't realize how thick the Ruin books are. Gee.
You see besides the one that just slipped up, but you see how the name on KF Breene is positioned up a little bit more on the Cage of Crimson, and they're all even on the Ruin series.
Tell
so
me
I
you're
think
book
maybe
obsessed without telling me you're book obsessed whenever you talk about the glue on the inside of the ring and where the name sets. I found my
I have that one book where the name's upside down and it drives me crazy.
No, you said that and I lost my mind.
I was like, no. It's on my shelf upside down. So like when I pull it out, the whole book's upside down. And I'm like, I'm not. Because every single other book, the author's name is facing a certain way. I will not. Will not.
I'm a collector. So if I buy a physical book, it's because I want that to be my trophy, right? So I want my trophy to look good. Speaking of trophies that pisses me off is, I can't get to it really. We're getting a little sidetracked. Is my Bridgerton series I bought.
But it's worth getting sidetracked for this. This is a stunning book.
So,
okay.
Actually,
and then it's got like marks, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to exchange and get a new one, right? It was worse.
So I can say at least that the inside of the book where the pages are at, that is actually on purpose so that your spine will lay flat whenever you open it.
Oh yeah,
the colors are so good in that.
Like it's just like swooshed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the binding.
Oh no. Like they're squished and they're like scraped.
The corners.
Yeah, the corners. So like this one, like if you notice, like they're just scraped. Like all
it now, yeah.
Like, and I'm like, okay, so it's not the end of the world, but yeah, these are. I love them. They're I have the last two. They're coming on the 17th. To complete the whole set. Now, have I read Bridgerton? No. Am I collecting the book? Yes.
You know,
they're absolutely gorgeous. Each one of those books has 2 of the books. So there's a total of 8 Bridgerton books. There's 4 of the collectors, and each one has 2 books, and they go in order. So
I love them. You'll love them. When He Was Wicked is my favorite.
Yeah, I want to dive into more than just fantasy and fantasy romance. So that's why I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll try Bridgerton. I've heard people like it, so why not?
Michelle's over here going Bridgerton, and I'm over here going Mafia? And you know, the ritual and madness.
I love
that one is out today, so you can go download it on Kindle Unlimited.
I know. I have it on my phone ready to go after we do this.
I just downloaded that new Gabrielle Sands book that I have not read yet because I've got 3 arcs and something else going on. So
I just finished it this morning. I binged it.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to start it. But anyway, yeah, we're really great at this whole staying on track thing. We knew it was good. Of course.
What we'll do is we're gonna do another episode another time where we just talk about books in general and not about movies. So
on it.
We're gonna wrap this up, you guys. Thank you for joining us, listening to our review of A Cage of Kingdoms by K.F. Breene. It's the second book in the duology, A Cage of Crimson. Come back next week. We're gonna go into part 2 where we're gonna discuss the book in detail, and there will be spoilers. So if you listen and you haven't read the book, that's on you.
We didn't show covers.
I could put one in.
What?
Yeah, that's true.
I could put one in right here.
Okay.
I get the magic of editing.
Well, you know, we don't have the physical cocks with us, so we have to put a digital cock in the.
Well, we do have one physical cock.
We do have one physical cock, but
A Cage of Crimson. A Cage of Crimson. So there we go. There's that. Super excited. Like I said, absolutely freaking love it. Not sure why everything is backwards. Hopefully,
It's not on our end.
It's not on our end, sis.
I know. Oh well. All right, guys. We will catch you in the next episode. Bye.